gentleman who's been on with us before, Mr. Lew Olowski from the Immigration Reform Law Institute in Washington, D.C. And we wanted to get Lew on the show since he is an attorney to give us his idea of what is going to, or what possibly could happen, what possibly should happen with the DACA, the Deferred Action for these minors that were brought into the country illegally, the DACA recipients. What should happen with this program, and how it was created and what should happen to it, et cetera, et cetera. Lew, thank you for being with us. Welcome to the show. How are things in beautiful D.C. other than the impeachment hearings?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every day we at the Immigration Reform Law Institute are dealing with immigration policy, right? The politics of D.C. really aren't our business. So it's interesting to see when, for us, nothing's changed, because every day it's about making sure that immigration policy and law is enforced and serves America's interests. But what you see on TV with respect to what Congress is up to may be a whole other story.
All right, Lew, so tell us, first of all, explain to us, what is DACA and how did it come about?
So those are very simple and important questions. Basically, DACA came about because Congress 24 times rejected the idea of the DREAM Act. And the DREAM Act was a bill that was proposed to Congress, which stood for the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act. And the vision under the DREAM Act was that people who came to the United States illegally as minors and are therefore illegal aliens, if they can show that they're not a threat, perhaps they should be allowed to stay, and perhaps they should be given lawful citizenship. But 24 times since the year 2001 to the year 2011, Congress rejected the DREAM Act. And under President Obama, he seemed to at first accept this decision because people pushed President Obama to use his executive power as president to just create such a program for people who came here unlawfully as minors. But President Obama would say things like, "I am not king." He said he can't just bypass Congress and change the law. He said that's not how a democracy works. But then during his re-election campaign in 2012, he created the DREAM program anyway. But instead of calling it the DREAM program, thus obviously creating legislation, which he cannot do as president, he instead called it a deferred action. So you're right, DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And during his re-election campaign in June 2012, President Obama's administration put out this memo that said, "We're using our prosecutorial discretion to defer action on these illegal aliens who came here as minors and meet these criteria." Now, the action that's deferred is deportation, because Congress specifies that people who came here illegally are deportable. And the criteria mimic the DREAM Act, but the president had to emphasize that he's just using his prosecutorial discretion here, because if he admitted that he was just creating the law by executive order, then it would be perceived as being beyond what a president can lawfully do. And then the issue went to court when states under President Obama challenged a similar program, and now it's in court again because when President Trump tried to end the DACA program, figuring his prosecutorial discretion is as good as Obama's was because they're both the president, people sued to try to keep the program in place. And that's what the Supreme Court of the United States just heard arguments about.
Now, being that it was created by, again, looking at it logically, being that it was created by Obama, obviously it would seem that it could be undone by President Trump. I mean, that would seem to be the logic. What possible logic is are the liberals and the left using on this matter?
That's a good question. The Supreme Court arguments had the government saying that the decision isn't even reviewable by a court, because if you accept the Obama administration's position that this is just prosecutorial discretion, then, well, as the president possess that discretion. It's not something that the court can micromanage. So the people challenging this rule are in a tricky legal position where on the one hand, they want to say that the president can do this, and so they want to say that it is within his prosecutorial discretion, but at the same time they don't want President Trump to undo it, so they have to present it as if it's something else that's going on there. And the kinds of arguments that you tend to hear are focusing on how mean it would be to deport these people, focusing on how President Trump's decision to rescind DACA was very cursory. He didn't explain adequately what he was doing. And you see in a lot of other litigation challenging the president's executive orders, he's accused of maladministration by having these decisions that plaintiffs say aren't adequately explained. But of course, no decision is going to adequately be explained. That's just an argument you'll make if your goal is to end the program. You'll throw every argument you have at the books, and one of the arguments is that President Trump didn't really explain why he was doing this, and so it was arbitrary and capricious type of behavior, for example.
I mean, again, it seems a lot of it seems to dwell on the issue of feelings. You're going to these people are afraid, and these people will not be able to function in their homeland, and these people have been here too long, and they're already Americans. Yet no one will describe what an American is. From their point of view. It just doesn't seem to hold any legal water. I mean, it just doesn't seem to hold it.
Yeah, there's no exception in the Constitution that says the president can start using legislative power if what he's doing feels good and just, right? So that question about the human interest here is just not a legal question. It's a policy question. And if the American people don't like the president's policy position, then presumably they're free to elect a different president the next time around. But when you dig into the details of DACA, you see that it is not as rosy as people like to portray it. So, for example, the very idea of giving lawful status to illegal aliens encourages more illegal immigration.
That's right.
So in the years since DACA, we've seen how the southern border gets overwhelmed with minors coming across the border, not for nothing, because DACA invites them to come in and try to take advantage of our laws. And some of these people die on the trek. Many of them are raped or otherwise victimized. The whole country was shocked when we saw kids in cages, something that actually started happening under President Obama. And then when you look at the people who actually have participated in the program, you see a lot of them are not these types of so-called model Americans. I think you pointed out recently on your show that there was a recent government report which found that tens of thousands of people who had received DACA benefits actually also had arrest records. And something like 2,000 DACA recipients have already lost those benefits because of their criminal behavior. And one ironic thing that I've noticed, because one of the plaintiffs in this case, a DACA recipient from Baltimore, was profiled in the news, is that the ironic thing is when media goes so far out of its way to try to tell you how exemplary these DACA participants are, they'll cherry pick certain individuals like this Baltimore plaintiff who is a young lady that attends Princeton. I think she even got permission to go to England, maybe to Oxford for additional study, and she's multilingual. This is the kind of person who could succeed anywhere in the world, right? And so it's an interesting phenomenon because media wants us to think of DACA recipients as being so excellent, such people that we want to keep them in the United States. But the more you emphasize how excellent these people are, then it raises the question, well, why can't they
excel someplace else? Right.
Right, in the countries where they're actually citizens.
Exactly. And again, we lose focus of the fact that they're here illegally. Yeah,
and the one thing that bothers me very much as someone who cares a lot about immigration policy is that the discussion is so focused on how do we accommodate people who are here illegally, who even while they're here, they're consuming tens of billions of dollars in a variety of public benefits all across the country. Who's speaking on behalf of those aliens who actually do respect our laws?
There you go.
There are lots of people who are waiting in line for their visas and who never enter this country, or who, while they're in the country, they realize that their presence is non-compliant with the law. Like the visa expires, they fail to get permission to stay, and those people leave, right? And even when they leave the country because we've asked them to, they're showing more respect for our laws than those people who simply don't care in the United States and demand accommodation.
That's exactly right. Who demand to stay here. Lew, tell us here in the last minute, what do you think needs to happen, and how can people follow your organization and help it?
Well, the number one thing that needs to happen, I suppose, is for Americans to be thoughtful about what our immigration policy is, what do we think it should be, and then to take action accordingly. If you visit our website, www.IRLI, that stands for Immigration Reform Law Institute.org, then you can keep up to date on our advocacy in this area, and we tend to favor greater enforcement of immigration law, and we tend to favor policies that serve Americans' interests first.
Wonderful. I want to get you back on so we can talk about sanctuary communities, because I think that's another very, very hot topic that seems to be happening. We've been hearing a lot about sheriffs that oppose sanctuary communities are being now targeted by leftist politicians to try to remove them in elections and have other folks that are more sympathetic towards sanctuary communities. So I got to get you back on. Lew, thank you very much for being on the show. You take care. We'll be back soon with you, okay?
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for highlighting these issues, and thanks for inviting us on your show to talk about them.
You got it, buddy.